Hello. You guys can go with me every place I speak going forward. That'll be good. Thank you for being here. There's a few people I want to thank specifically before we start, and there are people that work directly on the book with me. My first person is my wife, Andre, and I think all of you guys can clap for her, right? We'll hear more from her later tonight. One thing that she did do for me, she read one of the first copies, and it was still in Word format, and she made some edits and let me know very clearly that I was not funny. So, see, they laugh at me. So that was one positive attribute she added to the book. Obviously, you'll read all about her, and a lot of the ways that I operate today are because of things I learned from her. And secondly, my sister Joanna's here from Michigan, and Joanna read everything that I wrote on the front end of it and actually made it a lot better. So you could thank her in that way. And all of you know Giselle. I wrote a lot of this while Andre and I were on sabbatical in Nicaragua, and Giselle ran our whole organization while I was gone, so we could not have done this without her. And our team from Cook is here, Alex and Mike, and they have played a major role in this, and my agent Chris Farabee is here. I'm just thankful those people came into town. And lastly, I want to thank Russell Shaw. And Russ, are you here somewhere? He probably wouldn't. He's in the back. He doesn't want to be known. Every video, a little film that we've seen tonight, he has handcrafted. I mean, he shot them, he edited them, he helped me choose music for them. He had a vision for these beautiful films, and anything that you've seen from the campaign that's designed amazing, Russ has had a huge role in that, and so I'm really, really thankful for him. But I want to take it back to Clarence, and Clarence made me see the world differently. And I wish everyone had a friend like Clarence. There were days that were better than others. Some days were more frustrating with him than others. But he really did make me see things differently. And I remember being at our dining room table one night, and it was pouring down rain outside. And Andre and I were playing a game of Settlers of Catan. I don't know if any of you have played that. So it was a pretty intense game. We were probably going at each other in some form or another. Competitively, and the doorbell rang, and it was Clarence. And you know the sight, right? Someone comes in, and they've pulled their hoodie so tightly around their face that you just see their nose and their eyes kind of going through. And that was Clarence. He was soaking wet. I have never, ever seen anyone so wet. I mean, it was pouring outside. He had a trash bag over the hoodie, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Well, how can I help?" And he said, I would like to have some new shoes, some fresh shoes. They don't have to be new, just my shoes were drenched. So he asked for shoes, he asked for new clothes, and he asked for a gift card to McDonald's. And the reason why is he could sit out the storm at McDonald's. And I remember walking from the front door and turning around and walking to the back of our house where our bedroom was, and walking into our closet and thinking about the fact that we had 2 closets and he didn't even have a home. And then I walked into my closet, and I opened up the drawer, and I saw about 20, sets of socks. And I looked at my shoes, and I saw probably 10 pairs of shoes. And I looked at my closet, right, and I saw all these clothes. And so I got him some shoes, I got some socks, I got underwear, I got pants, I got all these things for him. Got him a jacket, and I got an umbrella so he could go. And we had gift cards to McDonald's because a gift card giver, right? He started understanding this gift card thing over time. And I walked to the front door, and I gave it to him, and And Andre and I, periodically now, we think about that night when we're driving and it's pouring down rain, and we think about people that are on the streets that night that have no place to go. And they're just saturated with water. So it changed how we looked at weather. It changed how we looked at a lot of things. The thing that story didn't tell you is how it ended. The video didn't tell this to you. Clarence, about 2 years ago, Andre and I were on vacation. And could you turn this mic down just a little bit? Thanks. That's a little better. And we were on vacation at Lake Burton. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. This beautiful location, right, that shows the dichotomy between me and Clarence, right? I get to go on vacation. That's unheard of for him. And we were on this back deck looking over this beautiful lake with the mountains and all these things. And I got a phone call. And it was our neighbor. His name was Ryan. And Ryan said, "Did you get the news about Clarence?" And we said, "No, we didn't get the news. What are you talking about, right?" And he said, well, Clarence passed away. And he was hit by a car. He was pushing that lawnmower that you saw in the film. He was pushing the lawnmower looking for work. And he got hit in a hit-and-run accident. And he died on the street that day. And that was a real eye-opening thing for me. I was in this extreme luxury situation, and he was at the extreme of suffering, right? And we went to the funeral, and in preparation for the funeral, we had given him these two trash bins that kind of stood next to our house. So we started going through these trash bins, and we found his Cincinnati Reds hat the day before the funeral. And I remember we went to the funeral, and we delivered the hat that day to his mom. And you should have seen her face. It just lit up, because she understood that same aspect, that he always wore that hat, you know. It was something related to the joy in him that she experienced when she got that hat back. And so because of Clarence, I wrote this book, a lot of it, and really processing what I have been given and what my responsibility is with that. The truth is, I have more than enough in every aspect of life, right? I have more than enough clothes in my closet. I have more than enough food in my pantry. I have more than enough technology devices even when the video goes too early, right? I have more than enough friends on Facebook. So what is enough? This is a question that I feel like we all have to ask at some point in life. And Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest men to ever live, someone asked him, what is enough? And his answer was very clear: a little bit more. I don't know if you can relate with that. If someone asked you, you probably hope you had a better answer than that. But if you look at our lives pretty consistently, that is how we live, isn't it? We want just a little bit more. You see, we're caught in this cycle of more. We get more, we want more, we spend more. We get more, we want more, we spend more. The classic example of this is the iPhone. How many of you have an iPhone? Like everyone in the room. Good, this is a good example then. So the iPhone is the perfect example. So we want an iPhone, right? The first time you got it, right? You wanted the iPhone. And you're like, I want the iPhone. And then you get the iPhone. And what's the first thing that you do? You want more music. So you buy more music. And then you say, I want more apps. And so you buy more apps. And then you say, I want a new case for the iPhone. So you get a new case. And then you want to talk longer on the iPhone. So you get a plug to plug it into your car lighter, right? And then you realize that you've tapped out of all the space in the iPhone, and you buy access to more memory from a cloud thing, right? And you pay for that. And then all of a sudden, Apple has a news conference, right? And they introduce a new iPhone, and you want a new iPhone, and then you get the new iPhone, right? And then you get the new iPhone, and then you realize that they changed the dimensions of the iPhone, and you need a new case. And I say need, I meant to say want. A new case, right? And so you get the new case, and then you realize that all the adapters don't work anymore. So you get a new adapter so that you can talk more in your car, right? It continues. It's a cycle that never ends. But what if out of our excess, we could actually address issues of need and suffering? What if we chose to draw a line of what is enough in our life. You see, anything more than enough is excess, and anything less than enough is suffering. The difference between enough and excess are the things that we want. And the distance between enough and suffering are the things that we need. The needs really are related to survival. The wants are related to desires. The distance between excess and enough is very subjective. What is enough for you is not going to be the same for me. Now, what I realized in this is that this community understands that chart probably better than anyone. I mean, in this community, I'm sure Brian Preston's here, right? Brian understands out of our excess, we can address issues of need and suffering, right? He's taking wood, old pallets, and turning it into jobs for homeless men in our community. Or Jen Soong. There's Jen. Jen is taking old saris, these beautiful fabrics, and turning them into pillows and employing refugees. And in our organization, we do that too, right? We take old billboards and we upcycle them into bags and we create jobs with them. We take gift cards that you guys all have in your billfolds and wallets and we address needs based out of that. This community is rooted in this. We hope this message goes further, though. And one thing I realized in creating these projects is that I will never have enough until I believe I am good enough. And you will never have enough until you believe you are good enough. And for me, it started on Facebook. So how many of your friends tag you in photos? Yeah, everyone. I don't know how many of you like that or don't like that. But for me, I don't like it, okay? So what happens is I go out and we have fun one night, and the next morning you get tagged and you get the email, right? You guys have all gotten this email and the alert, and so you go online and you check it out and you're like, do I like the photo? Does it look bad? If it looks bad, you untag yourself, right? That's the practice we all do. And whether we like it or not, our friends post us, and if it's actually the worst off photo you could ever imagine, most of our friends like to put online, regardless of what we think. And my friends started realizing I untag every photo. So they would tag me even more, right? So tag, and I would untag, and then they could retag, and I'd untag, and they'd tag me on a new photo, and I'd untag, right? I didn't like any of these photos. And then one day, Andre and I were in the house together. She was in one room, and I was in another. And I didn't know she was uploading these photos to Facebook, and she tagged me in a photo. So I'm in the other room, and I get the email, and I'm like, untag. Andre, why did you tag me in that photo? I'm yelling across the house. She's like, what do you mean, why did I tag you in that photo? She said, it's a great photo of you, right? And I said, no, it's a horrible photo of you. Of me, sorry. It's good. Horrible photo of you. It's a great photo of you. Horrible photo of me. And she looked at me, she said, no, this is actually one of my favorite photos I've ever seen of you. And I wanted to share that with my friends. And she said, the problem is not with the photo, Jeff. The problem is with you. You don't think that you look good. You don't like how you look in photos. For the last 2 years, you've untagged yourself from these photos. And so we're standing there, and I just start bawling. I start realizing this reality, this tension that I was dealing with. And I think I'm not the only one that's the case, right? I think that all of us struggled with this, and so then we end up getting things to replace this identity issue that we have in our lives. And then we get consumed by all these other things without really dealing with the issue that's in our heart. And so let me recommend something to you. If you ever want to wrestle with this question, what is enough, don't ever write a book about it. Because the truth is that you and I are probably going to have dinner at some point, and there's going to be a waiter or waitress that comes after dinner. It's going to be a wonderful restaurant, and they're going to ask if we want dessert. And you're going to look across the table at me, and you're going to say, Jeff, seriously, what's enough, right? That's going to be what's going to happen, right? Because it's always easy to determine what is enough for someone else, isn't it? But what is enough for me will never be what is enough for you. Let me give you an example. I want you to turn to the person next to you and answer the question, what is enough sleep? So let me guess, how many people, 4 hours is enough sleep? None? But one in the back, that's good. 5 hours, enough sleep. 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 is usually the overarching most common, 9 hours, 10 hours. Anything more than that does not have kids, right? See, I started realizing this statement, enough for you is not enough for me, when Andre and I were engaged. And we were really excited about one date in the engagement process. It wasn't the wedding. It was the date that we got to go to Target and register for the wedding. Can any of you relate? Yes, it's a very exciting thing. So we walk in and we get all set. We put in our info and the date of the wedding and our middle names and all that stuff. And they give us a gun. So we each have a gun and we're walking into the Target, right? Gun in hand, registry, we're about to create. And so the first thing that we decided was to go to the towels. We had decided how many towels we were already going to get. We were going to get 12 towels because my sisters had told us there are never enough towels in the house. When guests come, you always have to have more. That's what they told us. So we said, okay, 12 towels, and we're going to get, they're going to be green towels. We knew the exact color. So we went and we got all the way down to the aisle. The thing that we never decided on was what brand we were going to get. So I, with my gun, shoot the most expensive towels. Andre, with her gun, shoots the least expensive towels. So there was a bit of a conflict here. We kind of saw the world from two different ways. My perspective was, hey, people are buying this for us. Like, we can get whatever we want. This is so easy. There is no budget in mind. Her perspective was, they're buying it for us. Do you want them to look at us as greedy and this and that? Okay, so she won on the towels. So we moved on to the mixer. I shot the KitchenAid $269 mixer with so many arms, I don't even know what they do, right? There's that mixer. And Andre shot the $30 hand mixer. She obviously has never made cookies before, right? Apparently she won again. And then we went on to the microwave. I went for the most expensive. She was the least expensive. She won again. And then we went to the DVD player, and I was not going to lose this battle. So I said, Andre, this one is my territory, right? So I chose the most expensive, the Sony DVD player with high def, I don't know what it was, something. And then we went back, and we were at the vacuum. And I shot the Dyson, I don't even know how much they cost. It's a lot, right? These fancy, they will suck up everything. And Andre wanted the $35 Red Dirt Devil. And I'm like, does that even vacuum? We're not even confident of this. And so we're sitting in the aisle. We both have our guns in hand, looking at each other. I'm right, you're right, I'm right, I'm right. And next thing you know, we're both pointing our guns at one another, right? And I'm looking at her. I have no idea what's happening. She starts crying. I'm still engaged. I'm like, am I really doing this? And I do what any man would do in that moment. I get her out of the store, right? We get into our car and we start talking about this reality, that we see the world very differently. The way that I was brought up was different than the way that she brought up, and it defined how we went forward in these purchases. Andre was the daughter of a missionary, and all of their support was coming in from other people all around the world. They never knew how much they were going to get every month, and so they would always buy the cheapest thing so that they knew they had to have money to make it longer. And plus, her dad was really handy. So they could buy anything and he would fix it. And still to this day, he's fixing our vacuum. It is true. And my perspective, my dad can't fix a thing. He is the furthest thing from handy you can imagine, so he would always buy the most expensive thing with the greatest warranty so that he would never have to fix it. And this became so true. Enough for you is not enough for me. Choosing what is enough is a subjective answer. I can't determine that for you. You, at some point, have to draw a line in your life. And it's not just about money. It's about other things. It's about more practical things, like time. For me, that's a very difficult thing, right? There's two words that go with time when people ask you to do things. The answer is either yes or no. And I love the word yes, right? These words are the most powerful words in the dictionary. It defines everything. I love to say yes. But I'm learning that I have to say no more. If I say yes to everything, then I'm actually not accomplishing anything. And the reason why we talk about time is this is the first in this question of what is enough. And it can relate to all different aspects of life. It can relate to simple things like clothes, and it can relate to maybe more difficult things like what is enough giving. There's all different aspects that you and that we want you to ask about what is enough.
I know you may be like me and you have some questions you'd like to ask Jeff, and I'm sure we'll all get an opportunity tonight to ask him different questions, but I want to ask a few, and because I think this book more or less is going to be a great tool to help not only leaders, but a lot of people that we care about. And a lot of you I know represent organizations that just this way of thinking is a critical component of what we need to see happen in our country and what we need to see happen in churches and what we need to see happen in organizations around the world. So, Jeff, I know there had to be a catalyst to start this. I mean, I know you and I have had a lot of conversations. You've been thinking about a lot of these ideas for a long time. But there was a turning point for you when it came to writing the story and writing the philosophy of this book. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, well, the big part was really stopping. I mean, this story about being busy. Andre and I got to meet with a guy named Bob Goff, who's this crazy, unreal person. And we were on his back deck, and Jada was like running all over the place. And he started asking us about all these things we were doing. And the common phrase that I get from everyone is, "What do you do exactly, Jeff?" And so I started sharing all the projects I'm a part of or speaking into or something. And he kept saying, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more what you're doing. And I just kept bringing up more and more things I was doing. And he said, I think you need to just stop.
Wow.
And so we kind of were like, what? How do you stop things you've started? And he said, no, really, you need to just take a break. And he said, what would be the worst thing that would happen? You'd lose your house or something? Like you can't pay the bills, you lose your house. And we're like, yeah, that'd be pretty bad. And he's like, but what's the worst? Like, you can't eat. And we were like, yeah, that would be really bad. We can't eat. And he's like, if you can't eat, call me. I'll send you money.
That's fine.
And he's like, really, if it really got to the point where, you were so financially tight because of it, your friends would come around you. And he said, you need to plan this out 6 months out and take a few months off. And so Andre and I literally stopped, and we were able to write, but really just focused on each other and what it meant to have a kid for the first time.
Wow.
And so yeah, that was when we took our sabbatical.
You took 3 months. Now, I know that a lot of people probably are sitting here going, I'm not sure how I can take 3 months. But if you're really being honest, what would you say to people about time and about stopping and what they can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're in the tourist business, I would recommend starting camps or starting whole genres around this. I think in the next few years, that we are all gonna want to pay people that force us to separate from our technology and to take a break from all the stuff we're doing. It's consuming everything that we're doing. Now, I don't think everyone can go and do 3 months away. That's not realistic for everyone. But if you're not taking time in some form in your life to stop, and like one question I would ask a lot of times is when was the last time you actually turned off your phone? And I'm saying that question because Andre says it to me all the time. It's not out of me judging you, but it's because without taking moments to think about what you're doing, you just keep going and going and going. And we realized this when we took the sabbatical. The first 14 days, we didn't have any technology. We were at this weird eco-lodge place. And we slept 14 hours a day. Wow. And we were just exhausted. So I think everyone at some point has to create margin in their life to be able to stop and reevaluate what you're doing and why you're doing it.
The phrase in the book that for me, I think sums up everything is the phrase excessive generosity. If you were to define the one idea behind that concept of excessive generosity, what would you say it is?
Well, I think if you think about someone that is generous, everyone has a person in their head that they've experienced excessive generosity from. And we all deep down want to be that person, but we're not willing to give up our excess to be it, right? And so that would be how I'd best explain it, is that there are people that are our friends, that they look at everything that they have been given, and it's not their own. It is meant for others. And that's what happens. I think, and additionally, I think that everyone, when I say, what do you have in excess, you instantly think about something also.
I think the thing that makes this book very, very unique is the idea that you're challenging people not to just think a different way, but you're challenging them to try out living a different way and to do what you call are social experiments. And that idea alone in this book just intrigues me, because those of us who kind of live in a creative world, we're always thinking about doing things that will help us understand, life in a better way. But this idea of doing social experiments, I think, is huge. And we're going to come back to this in just a few minutes. But explain what you mean by social experiments, and then show us a few.
Well, I'm hoping you do one soon. Okay. But I think when I think...
What would that involve exactly?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, yeah.
Is
this a social experiment for me or for you?
We're working on it, right?
Okay, guys,
I have
I'm good
a plan for your life.
Great.
When you saw that chart where excess, enough, and suffering, I think we all instantly think of something that we have in excess. Mm-hmm. So I'm challenging people to do an experiment for some extended period of time to go without that excess, to go with less so others could have more. So what would happen if for an extended period of time you chose to go with less clothes? You decided to go, like Andre and I, our experiment that we've shared a lot was after Christmas one year, we were in debt, and we had to figure out how to pay the bills. And so it wasn't really an experiment. It was out of necessity more than anything. But, and so I had suggested, let's not go grocery shopping. And she's like, what? How do you not go grocery shopping? And the challenge was to see how long we could go based on living on our pantry, out of our pantry and in the freezer. And we lasted 7 weeks, 147 meals.
Wow.
We did. And it was just out of like all this canned goods. Like, it wasn't healthy, trust me. We gained like 7 pounds. But what it did is when Clarence came to our door and he said, hey, can you help me with some food? Or it made us realize what we have. And what's the common phrase? You always look into your refrigerator and you say there's nothing to eat, right? But we had 147 meals of food. So the hope is that you try a social experiment yourself to reevaluate and understand what you have been given, and then you can determine what to do with that.